It's now possible to plug your Honda CR-V in. That's because the 6th generation version of this model gains a plug-in hybrid powertrain to sell alongside the full hybrid PHEV engine. It offers impressive efficiency figures if you can stretch to the asking price. Still want your upper mid-sized family crossover as an EV?
There's a pleasingly big car feel to Progress with both models, and that's aided by the frequently selective dampers and perhaps by this model line's ever-increasing weight, nearly 2 tons in the PHEV model. It's the usual story with cars of this kind these days, lots of eco fanfare but also lots of contradictory heavyweight to counter it. Honda uses words like exhilarating and sports car when it comes to the handling of this SUV, and we're not entirely sure why, because as ever with this model line, the handling of this CR-V has been engineered to lower the heart rate rather than to raise it. It doesn't feel in the least bit sporty, nor should it. The steering wheel paddles, there to alter brake regeneration settings rather than gear ratios, and you'll find the steering about as communicative as a Trappist monk if you're looking for detailed feedback from the wheels. You will also have to manage things when it comes to bursts of speed needed for overtaking. You can certainly get a lot more power than this from rivals for the money that Honda's asking here, particularly if you're wanting a plug-in hybrid. A cheaper Toyota RAV4 plug-in has 121 brake horsepower more than the PHEV version of this Honda, as does a more comparable Lexus NX 450h Plus. You won't particularly notice that deficit at low speeds thanks to a 6.5% increase in pulling power over the old model to 335 Newton meters, and the torque electric motor, 62 miles an hour, takes around 9.5 seconds in both variants. But the powertrain does rather run out of puff over 50 miles an hour, and you'll need to rouse the combustion engine to progress with any real urgency, at which point refinement does start to suffer. Fortunately, the racket's now more contained than it was with the previous generation model, and that's thanks to engine vibration insulation and a more rigid crankshaft. But there are dynamic positives too, and for a typical CR-V owner, they'll probably be more significant. As long as you control yourself with the throttle pedal, refinement is excellent, and the various power sources blend in and out very unobtrusively. The mixture between friction and regenerative braking is expertly judged. Body roll is decently controlled through the bends, and the lower window line and the thin pillars make the car really easy to maneuver in urban situations. The 116 miles an hour top speed of the hybrid is 7% higher than the previous generation model. It's 121 mph for this PHEV. Driving this 6th generation CR-V day in, day out, you'll appreciate the new drive assist features like the parking pilot auto parking system, the active lane change assist and traffic jam assist, which can basically drive the car for you in low speed queues. But you do also notice a few quirks. We've never come across a car before that at any speed can permanently show you your distance to the curbside via a dedicated camera, which you activate by pressing the end of the left-hand wheel stalk. Frustratingly, every time you left-hand indicate, you're forced to look at this center screen feed, which is annoying when you're using the navigation and you're coming up to a junction. Equally irritating is something that Honda can't fix, the now mandatory need for speed limit chimes that you have to keep turning off every time you use the car. We'll finish with off-road prowess, which won't take very long because there really isn't very much. CR-V owners have never needed this, so the Mark 6 model is as compromised in terms of ground clearance, traction and tyre grip as all its predecessors were. Apart from different badging and the extra charging flap over the passenger side front wheel arch, there are no visual differences over the PHEV model. Most of the bigger visual differences with this 6th generation model lie at the front, where narrower LED headlights flow into a complex piano black mesh trimmed grille, which gets wider, more hexagonal shaping with this PHEV model. So, time to take a look inside. Do the premium aspirations on show here extend to the cabin? You might not think so. It's very much like a Civic in here, with low set dashboard offering a clean, uncluttered look and a full width air vent with toggle controllers. Look a bit closer though, and if you don't really prioritise elegantly trimmed soft touch stitched surfaces or trendy avant-garde design, you might conceivably find plenty to like. As usual in a Honda, the ergonomics are difficult to fault, with everything falling perfectly to hand. Unlike in the ZR-V, this isn't an SUV that sits you unusually low. There's a much more commanding driving position, and one that also feels naturally comfortable, helped by the adoption of the brand's body stabilising front seats. These screens are just as you'll find on a Civic, starting with a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster that you view through this 3-spoke steering wheel. This is loaded with proper buttons. As usual in one of the brand's modern models, infotainment is taken care of by this freestanding 9-inch Honda Connect central screen. It's a big step forward from previous generation central Honda monitors, but its graphics still look a bit outdated. All-round visibility is fine, and there's a decent amount of space to put things in. Arguably though, the more significant changes lie further back. Now, the previous generation model was launched with a 7-seat third row option, but we won't see that this time, despite the fact that for this Mark 6 design, Honda has stretched the wheelbase by 40 millimeters. Which has delivered 15 millimeters more legroom in the back. The rear seat reclines quite a way back through no fewer than 8 different settings, and the base slides backwards and forwards by 190 millimeters. It's surprising that you can do that on this PHEV model, because the drive system's battery is situated under the seat base. Apart from being able to move this bench about, the first thing you notice is that headroom is quite a lot different here to what you get at the front. Certainly it's something of a premium for what is quite a boxily styled upper mid-sized SUV. You can blame the lower ceiling height necessitated by this sunroof. It's where the roller blind for that is stored. Let's finish with a look at luggage space. Now, the standard powered tailgate rises to reveal a 617 litre trunk space capacity in the ePHEV version. We should point out that the capacity you're getting here is excellent by class standards. If you're looking at this ePHEV version, you're getting 167 litres more than you would in a competing BMW X3 xDrive 30e, and 92 litres more than a comparable Lexus NX 450h Plus. Unfortunately, Honda hasn't thought to include either a ski hatch or the kind of convenient 40-20-40 seat back split, which you do get with most rivals. So lengthy items would have to go on the roof. Now that can take up to 82.6 kilos. With everything folded down, if you load up to the roof, there's 1,710 litres of capacity in this ePHEV, or 1,100 litres if you load to the window. Because of the way the back seats fold down, everything does at least fold pretty flat. The 353.1 miles per gallon combined cycle fuel reading doesn't mean much in the real world, of course. That's based on fully using the 50-mile range supposed to be possible from the 17.7 kilowatt-hour battery when it's fully charged. Think more like 40 miles in the real world though. It's possibly more relevant to note that even when driven using only combustion power with the provided save mode activated, and that allows you to save up your battery charge for later in the trip, Honda says that this car will return a combined figure of 45.6 miles per gallon, which really isn't bad at all. Nor is the quoted 18 grams per kilometre CO2 reading, and that sticks the car comfortably into the 8% benefit in kind taxation bracket that many likely business customers will be targeting. A word on charging this ePHEV model. It takes 2.5 hours at a 6.8 kilowatt charger, because the plug-in hybrid system can replenish the battery at a maximum charging rate of 6.8 kilowatts. That's an hour faster than a Kia Sorento PHEV, because that car can only charge at up to 3.3 kilowatts. It is quite a lot slower though than a Land Rover Discovery Sport PHEV, because that car can accept up to 32 kilowatts. On this Honda, the central screen screen has a selectable PHEV menu, which allows you to set charging settings and pre-journey climate settings too. Plus, the screen has a Wi-Fi enabled option to search for nearby public charging stations. Servicing is once a year or every 12,500 miles, whichever comes first. What else might you need to know? Insurance groupings. Well, you're looking at 37E for this PHEV. Predicted residual values have a premium brand look, 53% with the PHEV. So many CR-Vs are bought by folk who previously owned one. These are people who probably stick with Honda into this 6th generation model if they can afford to. The price increase here over the previous model really is significant, especially with this PHEV version. And that's indicative of the fact that Honda these days isn't particularly worried about selling fewer cars, as long as each one that they do sell is more profitable. But that approach has given this Mark 6 model a premium style price tag its cabin quality and its power output doesn't feel particularly suited to. You'll have to decide whether you can live with that. If you can though, there's lots to like here. Loads of space, a flexible seating format, an ergonomically excellent cabin, big car style refinement, class leading levels of safety, and on this PHEV, excellent efficiency figures too. As usual with a CR-V, it's designed for a trip to the local Amazon locker instead of to the Amazon itself, and for that, well, it's as fit for purpose as it's ever been.